You can't seem to stay consistent. And somewhere along the way, you quietly decided that meant something was wrong with you. You start so beautifully. The clean week, the promise you make to yourself in the dark, that this time will be different. And for a few days, it is. And then, the way it always seems to, it slips through your fingers again. And that small, tired voice comes back to ask, "What is wrong with me?" I want to give you something today, but you'll have to stay with me to the end to hold all of it, because the most important piece comes last. There is one small thing, far smaller than you would ever guess, that quietly decides whether you become the woman you keep trying to be. Almost no one is ever taught it, and by the end of these few minutes, it will be yours. But first, I have to show you why this was never ever about discipline. Because here is the truth no one says out loud to the woman who keeps starting over. You are not lazy. You are not weak. You are not undisciplined. You are, if anything, one of the hardest trying women you know, and that is closer to the real problem than you think, though not in the way you've been told. Behind every one of those abandoned resolutions is a quieter wound. Each time you promised yourself something and didn't follow through, a small part of you took note. And slowly, without ever once deciding to, you learned the saddest lesson a person can learn, that your own word, to yourself, can't quite be trusted. That is what actually breaks. Not your discipline, your self-trust, the quiet faith that when you say you'll do a thing, you will. And if that just landed somewhere real in you, if you felt a small catch in your chest, then stay with me. Because self-trust is not something you were born with or without. It can be rebuilt. I'm going to show you exactly how, through a story from our world called Emberhollow, and two people who spent their whole lives studying this very wound. In Emberhollow, there is a chasm every seeker must one day cross, and the only way over is a bridge she must build with her own two hands. I want you to meet a seeker who stood at that edge for years. We'll call her Brenna, and if her story feels a little too familiar, that is not an accident. Brenna was not lazy either. If anything, she loved too hard. Every time she resolved to cross, she threw her whole self at the bridge at once, hauling stone after stone from dawn to dark, desperate to finish it before her courage ran out. And for a day, sometimes two, the arch would rise, and she would let herself believe. This time, she would be successful. And then it fell. Every single time. The stones she had carried with her whole heart slid down into the fog, and she would sit in the rubble and say the thing you say to yourself. Other women can do this. Why can't I? I guess I'm just not built for it. She had the strength. She had the will. What no one had ever given her was the one small secret that makes a bridge actually hold. An old builder had watched her fail for years. And one evening, the old woman knelt beside her in the broken stone and said 6 quiet words. Brenna didn't understand them, not for a long time, and I'll tell you what they were, but not yet. Here is the first thing that will begin to set you free, and it's so simple it will almost make you angry that no one told you sooner. You have been trying to build the whole bridge in a day. A writer named Charles Duhigg spent years studying how people actually change, not how we're told to, how we actually do. And he found something almost no one expects. You don't transform your life by force, all at once. You change it through one small habit. He called it a keystone habit, a single stone that once it's set, quietly pulls the others into place. Get that one right, and the rest of the arch begins to hold on its own. So the question was never, how do I become a disciplined woman overnight? That question has been quietly breaking your heart for years, and it was the wrong question all along. The real one is gentler and far more answerable. What is my one small stone? And I'll tell you exactly what it is. But to understand how something so small could carry so much, you have to meet the second person who studied your wound. His name was Albert Bandura, and he spent his life studying the very thing we've been circling. That quiet belief, deep down, that you are capable of doing what you set out to do. He called it self-efficacy. I'm just going to call it self-trust. And here is what he found. That belief is not built by grand gestures, not by heroic weeks, not by dramatic overhauls of your whole life. It is built by small wins, tiny, almost invisible moments where you said you would do a thing. And you did, stacked, one on another and another, until quietly, almost without noticing, you start to believe yourself again. Do you hear what that means? The woman who trusts herself was not born trusting herself. She built it, one kept promise at a time, which means the self-trust you think you're missing was never a gift you didn't get. It's a bridge, and a bridge is rebuilt exactly the way it wore down. One small stone, laid today, another laid tomorrow. Which brings me back to that old builder kneeling in the broken stone beside Brenna. Do you remember the 6 words she said, the ones Brenna couldn't understand? They were these: lay one stone, come back tomorrow. That was all. Not work harder, not want it more. Lay one stone, only one, and come back tomorrow and lay the next. And then the old woman showed her the last secret, the one that makes every arch that has ever stood stand, the keystone. The single small stone at the very top that locks all the others together. Without it, the finest pile of stone in the world will fall. With it, the whole arch holds its own weight, and grows stronger the more it is asked to carry. Your keystone, the old one said, is only this, that each day you keep the one small promise you made. Let the grand plans go. Keep the one small stone. That is what makes the whole of your life hold. So now let me tell you what all of this means about you. Not some seeker in a story. You, the woman sitting exactly where you are right now. That drawer of abandoned resolutions, the one you're a little ashamed of. It was never proof that you're a quitter. It is proof that something in you refused to stop believing your life could be better. A woman who had truly given up would not keep starting. You kept starting because the hope in you would not die. That is not a flaw to fix. That is the most stubborn, beautiful thing about you. And every bridge that fell, it did not fall because you are not enough. It fell because no one ever told you that you were allowed to build slowly, that you were never meant to carry the whole thing in a single day. You weren't failing, dear seeker. You were overgiving, even to your own dreams, pouring everything out at once, the way you pour yourself out for everyone else, and then blaming yourself when there was nothing left. And that missing day, the one you dread, the day you skip and decide the whole thing is ruined. A bridge does not fall for one missing stone. It remembers every stone you have already laid. When you miss a day, you do not begin again from nothing. You simply lay the next one. Your self-trust is never broken by a gap. It is only ever broken by walking away and calling yourself a failure for having needed to rest. Thank you for still being here. Truly. That you haven't drifted away tells me this one matters to you. So take one slow breath with me here before we go on. And then do one small thing just for you. Choose your first stone. One promise so small you already know, beyond doubt, that you can keep it tomorrow. One glass of water. One tidy surface. One line written. Just one. Then write it here in the comments below. Your one small promise, the stone you're going to lay tomorrow. And underneath it, add a single word, trust. Not because you feel it yet, but as the very first stone laid in, rebuilding the faith between you and yourself. Say it somewhere you can't quietly take it back. And when you leave it, know that you are adding your voice to a long line of women laying the very same stone. So let your promise be a light for the ones who came before you and a hand held out to the ones who come after. Leave yours and help the next tired woman believe that she too can begin again. Now, I won't lie to you because I know you'd feel it if I did. And you have been lied to enough by people promising you a whole new life in 30 days. Laying one small stone will feel far too small to matter. Some evenings you'll be certain it's pointless, and you'll want to either skip it or pile 10 more stones on top to prove to yourself that you're serious. Don't. The power was never in the size of the stone. It is in the fact that you said you would. And on the ordinary, unremarkable, bone-tired evening when every part of you did not feel like it, you did it anyway. That is the moment self-trust grows back. Never the grand days. The small, faithful ones no one sees. And yes, you will still miss some days. That is not the bridge falling, dear seeker. That is only a gap. Lay the next stone when you are ready. Now, remember what I promised you at the very beginning. The one small thing that quietly decides whether you become the woman you keep trying to be. You're ready for it now. It is not more discipline. It is not a better plan or a whole new you by Monday. It is a single kept promise, today. That is the keystone. That is the one small stone that makes everything else. Every goal, every hope, every path you thought had quietly closed to you, suddenly able to hold your weight. Brenna stopped trying to build the whole bridge in a day. She laid one stone each morning, one small promise kept, and let the arch hold what it could. And slowly, with no heroic effort at all, it became something that could carry her. She crossed at last. And the thing that surprised her most, the moment that one bridge held, every other path in the realm suddenly felt reachable. You do not need to become a whole new woman, dear seeker. You only need to keep one small promise to the woman you already are, and then trust her enough to come back tomorrow and keep the next. Before you go, if this found you tonight, there's one more story waiting beside me. For the woman who keeps buying the planner she abandons after a week or two, certain the next one will finally fix her. Step over to it now, or find it in the description below when you are ready. So choose your one small stone and keep it today. That is the whole beginning. Until then, seekers, walk gently, be kind, and remember, you are already enough. The best self you seek is already inside you.